Hey guys, what's up? It's Jordan and I am back with another video. So the format of this is going to be a little different and the dogs are running around in the background. So great. I am standing in this video, which I feel like is really different. I don't stand in any of my stuff unless I'm, vlogging. And the lighting is different because I'm not sure if my ring light broke or if the bulb just burned out, but it's not turning on, so I'm having to use natural light, which I almost maybe like better, to be honest. I just can't control the brightness, and so if it's like 4:30, so if the sun starts to go down, I don't really have any control over that. So just wanted to do that disclaimer in case everything looks different. Also, if you hear any background noises, it's because my downstairs neighbor loves to listen to Nora Roberts at like all the way up volume. So that's what that is. It's great. So today I thought that I would kind of change directions here and talk about something a little bit more serious. And I was going to share like my eating disorder or like body dysmorphia video, and if you can't tell, I'm really uncomfortable, which is why I just keep looking around and fiddling with my hands. But as long as I'm not touching my hair, we're good, right? Because I know that I touch my hair too much, so trying not to do that anymore. But yes, I recently started taking nutrition courses online, and it just kind of angered me with like the diet culture and everything out there. I feel like there's so much false information, and I feel like there's so much that fuels eating disorders and kind of like body negativity that I wanted to come on here and kind of share my story, because it's not something that I talk about a lot, but I think that we should all use our platforms in order to make things better. And so while I love just blowing up my feed with booty pics and thirst traps, I am also trying to kind of show more of me. So I was always a pretty active kid. I played soccer when I was little, I was in dance, and I was in gymnastics, and I grew up riding horses like ever since I was a baby, pretty much. I was on the back of a horse. So I was always really active. And my dad is really active. He runs every single day. He's like a big beef jerky guy, which like we'll have that conversation because, how I feel about red meat. And so I grew up with him, and then my mom was a nurse. Her eating habits weren't amazing, but I mean, when you're working like 12-hour shifts, and you're getting off work at like 5 o'clock in the morning, like what's open besides like Starbucks and McDonald's, you know what I mean? So keep saving lives. We're not mad at you for having bad eating habits. But anyway, so I grew up in kind of this really active and healthy household. So I never really had any problems with food until I know that when I was in like 7th grade, I started to kind of like fill out, if you know what I mean. And so that was different, but I didn't really have like a problem with weight until I moved from South Carolina to Los Angeles. And I'm not blaming Los Angeles for breeding any type of, negative stereotype or anything like that, but I was a child actress. I went on auditions all the time. I was constantly in workshops, constantly, meeting with Disney execs, and I just was like that's what I grew up in, was that realm. And I've always been 5'4", which is how tall I am. I've been 5'4" ever since I was in whoa. And ever since I was in 6th grade, ever since I was 12 years old, I've been 5'4". And I started kind of developing early, I started to get boobs and a butt, and I just looked older than I am. And that's not popular in Hollywood. Everyone wants you to look younger, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody still wants you to look younger, They're like, you're 27, you should be getting Botox. And I'm like, I mean, I'm good, but okay. But yeah, so when I was about 14 years old, I was in my acting class, and I remember my acting coach told me, he said, you'd probably get a lot more roles if you lost about 10 pounds. At that time, I was a size 3, so then started the just downhill battle. I remember I had a gym membership when I was 15, which isn't fucking crazy or anything like that. I was dance team captain, so I would get out of school and I would go to dance, and then I would go to the gym for like an hour and a half, which doesn't sound crazy for anybody, but when you're not eating, which is what I also wasn't doing, like I was signed up for Beachbody when I was 14, which if for an overweight teenager, maybe it would make sense, but I wasn't overweight. I was thin. I was athletic. I wasn't out of shape. I mean, I was a kid. And so it just, that starts to kind of mess with you a little bit, especially growing up in that society and in that environment where everybody is a model and they're perfect and you're 14 and like I was kind of like a nerdy 14-year-old. Like I had just stopped being punk rock and I was like finally just now getting into Aeropostale and like Abercrombie and American Eagle. Like shut up, you wore it too, you know? And I don't know. I just don't think that a 14-year-old should be uncomfortable in their body, and I know that a lot of them are, but this wasn't just because of school, this was because of an adult telling me, hey, you should be uncomfortable in your body. Even though you're a size 3 and that's not big, you should be uncomfortable in your body. Because you would really, and it actually would be good for you for, you know, roles. You would actually get more roles and you'd book more things if you lost weight. So I did. I lost a lot of weight. I went from a size 3 to a size like 0 real fast. And let me just preface this with like, my family is Spanish. And so we're naturally curvier, vivacious people. My body does not want to sit at a 0. And so I was starving myself to get down to this point. And when I say starving myself, I'm not being dramatic, I'm being serious. Like I remember when I was 16, my breakfast, I had instant breakfast, which if you remember what that is, it's basically like chocolate milk, kind of. It's like a protein shake, but like, really? And so this is back when I drank milk, and so I would mix the instant breakfast into my milk every morning, and that was my breakfast. And then for lunch, I would take a Slim Fast bar and a bag of dried Mariani cherries. That was my lunch every day. So naturally you can see the progression of just like, of course you're losing weight, you're not eating. And then for dinner, you know, my mom would cook dinners, but a lot of the time, you know, my mom was at work and my dad was out of town because he was a businessman. And honestly, like you could ask my mom, like getting me to eat certain things was so difficult. And not only was I hypercritical of what I ate, I was hypercritical of what everybody ate. I always knew how many calories were in everything. I always knew how many like carbohydrates, and this is still when I thought that carbs are bad for you, right? Like I was one of those people. And I would always just be like, do you know how many calories are in that? Like, do you know how fattening that is? Like, do you know how many miles I have to run in order to burn off a donut? And it was just like, you're 16 years old. Like, why are you having to think about this? Why are you this way? Like, what are you doing? And so a lot of the times she couldn't get me to eat what she wanted me to eat, and I would just buy lean cuisines, and that was my dinner. I had a lean cuisine pizza. I was obsessed with lean cuisine pizzas, man. Like, whoa. So I was skinny, but I was also malnourished. But I thought that I was still fat. I remember I have a friend, and we're still friends, and her name is Stacy, and she's probably like 5'2", maybe she might even be 5'1", and she's tiny, and I would always compare myself to her. She's like this tiny little Russian girl, and I remember like not being able to fit into clothes. Like, Stacy was like a 00, okay? And so I remember like when things would get too small for me, I'd give them to her, and I would be really sad, and I would like cry, and I remember just being like, God, I just wish I had a flat stomach. And I would even, so crazy, because it's so the opposite of what it is today, but I always bought like full butt bikinis because my butt has stretch marks on it, because that's what happens when you build muscle and you grow quickly sometimes, is you have these growth spurts and you get stretch marks, okay? And I was embarrassed of them, and so I would hide them, and I would hide my butt because I hated it and all this stuff, and I just wanted to be skinny, I would, oh my God, this is so fucking toxic and gross, and I cannot believe that I did this, but, and I remember my mom started letting me do it downstairs, so I would do it. I had a mini fridge in I had 2 rooms, I know, ooh, but I had 2 rooms, and one room was literally like a playroom, but it was my workout room. That's where I would do Turbo Jam from Beachbody, which I will never knock. Turbo Jam is a great fucking program, and it's fun, okay? But I would get Victoria's Secret magazines, and I would rip out pages, and I would cut out the models, and I would put them on my refrigerator so that I could, every time I went to go eat something, I would look at the models and remind myself not to eat, because I wanted to look like that. And I never was going to look like that, because I'm 5'4", not 6 foot, and I don't have a tiny rib cage and tiny like hips. It's just not, but it's just so crazy to me that that is like, I was 15 years old. Like, you shouldn't be doing that at 15. You should be worried about, like, if the boy across the street likes you, and, like, if you're gonna, like, fail your English test, you know? Like, oh my god, will this foundation make my acne worse? Like, that is what you should be worrying about at 15, not having pictures of, like, 25-year-old women on your fucking fridge so to remind you to starve yourself. That is, it's just crazy, and it's wild because when I was in it, I didn't know it was unhealthy, and when I was in it, I was just like, oh, you know, I have to be this way to look like this so that I can get roles and so that Hollywood will accept me, and it's just so gross that that is how I grew up, and it seriously has not affected me growing up, getting older, you know? So that was me in high school, you know, like super crazy. I remember I started doing pageants, and so that was even worse. I would kick my ass even more at the gym. I hated it, and I hated my body, and I was so sad. And my home life was already, like, it was fucked, okay? So I was already dealing with stuff there, and so the only place that I had control was over what I ate and how I worked out. And so that was what I became hyper, like, controlling of, and I just became this robot in this, like, dark hole of a person. I was sad, I was lonely, I was angry, and I was never one of those people that got so, I was never, like, anorexic to the point where I had to be hospitalized, and I was never bulimic to the point where I had to be hospitalized or anything like that. And I don't know if that's because, luckily for me, I did have a great set of friends that, like, Stacy made my ass eat. Like, she'd be like, you gonna eat these potato chips? Like, she made me eat, you know? And so I don't know, I don't even know where I was going. I got so wrapped up with how fucked up that is. So, like, let's just keep going. So that was me in high school. I graduated high school, and by the way, I was a good kid. Like, I never partied. I didn't drink at all in high school. I was on the National Honor Society, National Society of High School Scholars, Miss Teen San Marcos, dance team captain. Like, I did it. I was, you know, I fucking was in Miss Teen San Diego. Like, I was doing all this stuff. I wasn't bad. I wasn't a bad kid. I just was sick. I just wasn't good. So fast forward, I graduate from high school and I go to college. And college is when, like, you learn things and, like, you go crazy. And so I did discover alcohol. But I remember whenever I moved in, let's back up for a second. I remember whenever I moved into my dorm. I was 17 when I started college, and when I moved in, I had a roommate, because, you know, you're in a dorm. And I remember I was moving everything in, and I mean, I had Slim Fast, like the drinks. Like, what? You're 17 and you're underweight. Like, why do you have Slim Fast? I wonder if I can still find a picture. I had a picture of my fridge. I wonder if I can still find a picture of it. But I had, like, Slim Fast and lean cuisines, and that was, like, what I had. Those were my meals. And I remember my roommate was like, what the fuck? Like, are you good? And I thought that everything was normal. I didn't understand why she was coming for what I ate, you know? But it's because I was eating abnormal things for a 17-year-old. So freshman year, whatever, I discover alcohol, I start drinking, I start partying, gain a little weight. You know, you gain your freshman 15. Well, gaining your freshman 15 for me wasn't a big deal, okay? Because I was already, like, tiny. But don't stop there. Nope. Rest assured, people let me know that I had gained weight, because I went back home to record my first EP when I was, I'd finally turned 18, so that summer between my freshman and sophomore year, and I remember my coach at the time was like, you know, you've definitely gained weight since you left. And I just spiral, set me right back into my old ways, back to my old phase. I got back, and I was still drinking and partying, but I was probably eating, like, maybe once a day, maybe twice a day, like, not getting the nutrients that I need, because at this point I was living in an apartment by myself, so I had full control over what I ate, when I ate, what I did, which was a bad thing. So that went on and on and on, and I remember even from this time, and I don't do this anymore, thank God, but I used to look at pictures of myself from that summer and I'd be like, oh, this was fat Jordan. And I actually do still do that. Not referring to myself at that time, but, like, I'll tell my boyfriend all the time. I always tell Anthony, I'm like, oh, you met me when I was my heaviest. Like, that was fat Jordan. And it's like, that's just that 14-year-old that's still in my brain, that's still like, you'd really get a lot more roles if you lost some weight. Just like, you'd really get more followers if you lost some weight. You know, you'd probably get more sponsorships if you lost some weight, and it's just like, you'll be happier if you lose weight. It's just like ding, 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 and it's just like so much. But yeah, I used to look at that summer and be like, that's fat Jordan. People were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you look like a normal human being. And I'd be like, no, this body that I'm in now, this is normal. What the fuck? So fast forward, I discover, you know, fitness gurus on YouTube, which, fuck. So I start following these different diets and stuff. My boyfriend and I at the time, God, like, he was such a nice guy to me, and God, I was terrible to him. Anyway, we were obsessed with Herbalife, which I will never knock Herbalife. You're not gonna catch me knocking Herbalife. You wanna know why? Because it fucking works. It worked for me, it worked for him, it was great. We had this thing called Bare Nutrition. It was amazing. Now, should I have been on the Herbalife diet at 19? No, I was not underweight. I was a normal fucking weight. Cody and I would go to the gym sometimes twice a day, and two of our meals were fucking protein shakes. Like, what are you doing? And I understand, like, yes, to lose weight, sure, but when you're already thin and you're 19, you don't need to be like fed these lies and these things to be like, but it was never enough. I was never skinny enough. I was always fat. I remember hating my body, hating it, hating it, hating it. Now I look back at pictures and I'm like, what the fuck was I complaining about? Because now let me tell you, I got hips. You know, now let me tell you, I got an ass. And I'm like, what was I mad about? My stringy ass arms that had no biceps? Like, what was I mad about? Fucking insane. And so that was me in college. On and off, on and off, on and off. Then I graduate college, right? I moved to Dallas. I'm in a shitty relationship, and my shitty ass boyfriend ghosts me. No, like, fucking for real. On my birthday. So I get really depressed, and then I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move to LA because it was so healthy for me to live there before. And then I'm like, but you know what? I can't move to LA until I'm what? Skinny. Bitch! So, what do? I go on a crash diet. And you know what I mean by a crash diet? I mean, I worked out twice a day, and this is all I was allowed to eat. Protein shakes, spinach, whitefish, chicken, egg whites, and hot sauce. I wasn't even allowed to, like, put anything crazy on my food. It was literally just hot sauce. No carbs. And did I lose weight? Well, fucking duh, I did. I lost a shit ton of weight in 6 weeks. You know what I also did? Starved myself. And you know what I did? I put the pictures on Instagram like I was fucking proud of myself. Like, hey, look at me. I have a very serious disorder, and no one cares because everyone's congratulating me on my fucking weight loss because nobody knew what I was doing to myself. Everybody just sees, oh wow, look, weight loss. Nobody sees, like, what goes on behind the scenes. And what was going on behind the scenes was so unhealthy and so detrimental to not only my physical health but my mental health that it's just like, fuck. Like, how did I think that that was fucking healthy? Then I moved to LA, I started drinking, I gained weight again, because guess what happens when you drink a lot? You eat Taco Bell. Guess what happens when you combine alcohol and Taco Bell? You gain weight. It's just a fucking fact. And again, I probably looked fine. But guess what? In my head, I was like, I'm not booking any roles. Probably because I'm fat. Yeah, it can't be due to the fact that you're not going on auditions, you're not getting an agent, and you're not actually actively pursuing your craft. You're just going to the bar and getting fucked up and thinking somebody at the mall is gonna discover you. No, no, no. That's not what it is. It's because you're fat. What? It also didn't help because at the time, I was dating this guy, if you can call it that, and he was fucking terrible. And at one point, he literally told me, I like your little belly. What belly is he fucking talking about? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So again, spiraling down. I'm pretty sure I did that whole thing again. And then I found, like, intuitive eating, and I went vegan, and that was great. I felt amazing, and that's everything, you know? Obviously I'm not fully vegan now, but when I was, it was great. And it actually is great for people with eating disorders and body dysmorphia because it teaches you about nutrients, and it teaches you about, like, food. And it's just, I don't know. I loved it. It's fucking hard, but I loved it. So yeah, I went through that, I did all that, and then my life went to shit. I moved to Dallas, here I am. When I first moved back to Dallas, I was really depressed, and I gained weight, probably like 15, 20 pounds, no lie. And I'm still working to get that off. But you know what's still in my head? You'd be happier if you were skinnier. You would like this better if you were skinnier. So there are still days, most days, when I walk by mirrors and I don't look in them. I do not look in mirrors, especially, oh my God, when I go out, like with my friends, I never look in mirrors. And that's fucked up, and it's because I see myself as bigger than I am. Unless it's a picture. And I can honestly say, like, doing boudoir and taking these photos has been so good for me because I actually see what my body looks like. And it's crazy because you're like, oh my God, that's me? It's like, yes, you are not who your brain says that you are. You are not, you wouldn't be happier if you were skinnier. Unless you're like sick. If you are like sickly overweight, then you know what? I get it. But it also, it has nothing to do with being skinny. It has everything to do with being healthy. I would be happier if I was healthier and taking care of my body, mentally and physically. That's how we should be saying it. But my whole life, I'd be happier if I was skinnier, has still affected me to this day. And it's fucked up, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of people telling y'all to hate your bodies and hate yourselves, and people being like, I'd be happy if I'm skinnier. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna fucking starve myself. No, sis. God, like, people are destroying their bodies just trying to get skinny. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. And I get so heated and passionate about this because I lived through it and I still live through it every day. And people might look at me and they're like, but Jordan, you're fit and you're strong. And you're like going, yeah, I am to you. But to me, I'm still 14 and my acting coach is still saying, you know, you'd probably do better if you lost a little weight. Oh my God, it seriously still irks me, as you can see. And I just wanted to make this video because I think that it's so important to share stories like this, because if you looked at me, you wouldn't think that I have those thoughts and you wouldn't think that I had those experiences. But I have, and I do. And I strongly encourage everybody, research what to eat, research what to do, exercise your mind and your body, and just feel good about yourself. And please, when you think about, I'd be so much happier if I was skinny, replace skinny with healthy. I'd be so much happier if I was healthier. So I'm gonna take care of my body and make myself that way. Or stronger, you know what I mean? But focusing on certain things, like I wish I had abs, which I still fucking do. I do that all the time. And it's not healthy, it's not cute. My boyfriend does it too. He's like, I can't wait to get abs. And it's different, you know, I don't know. I wanted to make this video to just, okay, so evidently my memory card was full and my camera's about to die, so I need to speed this up anyway. But like I was saying, the reason that I made this video is because you don't know someone's story just by looking at them. And I think it's really important to share my body dysmorphia and my like eating disorder video. And I didn't even go into like deep depth with it because I don't want to like harshly trigger anybody or anything like that, but I just think it's important to share things like this because we're still living in a society that tells you that you'd be better if you were skinny. And I don't mean fit and strong, because you should be fit and strong and healthy, but you don't need to starve yourself to get there. Don't get me wrong, it will take longer to achieve your fitness goals the healthy way. But you know what comes with that? Sustainability, because nobody wants to get fit and down to their ideal weight and then gain all that weight back because they start incorporating, I don't know, a macronutrient that we need, like carbohydrates. Ooh, I need to make an entire video about the keto diet and how y'all are literally killing yourselves. But that's an entire other video. So guys, if you like this video, if you like me, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know your experiences in the comments and let me know if any of this resonated with you, if you experienced it as well. I'm pretty sure I said go ahead and like and subscribe, but I don't know, I'm just like so heated and like confused. I'm just watching this battery flash. But if I did it for the third time, like and subscribe, and follow me on social media. Instagram is where I really am. I do stories every single day and I do posts as well. And that's where all my like thoughty thirst traps are. So, you know, wanna learn how to thirst trap? There's the fucking book. Anyway guys, I am going to get off now, charge my camera, probably eat a banana, and maybe film some more videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.